We've got heaps to get through, man, and I always really enjoy kicking it with you and talking about your music and just sort of talking about life, and the conversation will flow and it will find itself. But let's just focus right now on the music. It's a great title as well, Father of the Bride. When did you come up with that, and what is the sort of
It was
relationship?
very early on.
Yeah.
I always do better when I know the album title. It's the same thing with Modern Vampires, same thing with Contra. First album doesn't really have a name. But it was very early on, and I'm already thinking about themes and ideas and vibes, and then I can't remember I can't say for sure. I think I just kind of happened to see that the movie was on TV and it just like clicked. I was like, Father of the Bride, that's it. I love that name. And then of course, I have to like test it on a few people. What do you think? Because a lot of, even like Modern Vampires of the City, where you just say that with no context, some people are like, okay.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Father of the Bride. But
I actually think Father of the Bride, can I just be honest?
Yeah.
If I was going to rank it, I would say it's my favorite album title you guys have done.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's like immediately you can totally picture what that feels like for you as an individual. Like everyone's got a concept of what Father of the Bride means.
Yeah.
Because it's just this kind of crazy, bittersweet, confused moment of like,
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, even if you're not thinking about weddings or marriage, it literally is just a confused, bittersweet moment.
And who else kind of helped you and Ariel put the whole thing together?
The whole album?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's songs I did with Rostam. There's Blood Pop.
Mm-hmm.
Had some really sick contributions.
Let's talk about that for a second. I mean, and we'll get back into, we'll go through the lists of individually.
Right.
Let's rewind actually. So we can't sort of gloss over the Rostam collaboration because obviously, it's the first time Vampire Weekend have returned without Rostam as a core member of the lineup, or at least on paper.
Right, sure.
But he's in the studio collaborating with you, and you guys were always super open that it was never an acrimonious split. So how did that feel with him back working with you, but knowing that it wasn't necessarily part of the core chemistry or dynamic of the band? It was more of a free experience.
It's just not that different in a way. It's very familiar, and because it's not just with the two of us, it's not just like, oh yeah, that was like a dude I met of like a Craigslist ad for looking to start a band. Then we got successful for a few years. That's somebody that I met my freshman year of college. We worked on music before we had a band. He was this dude who was like really interested in recording. I remember. When we were freshmen, I'd already written the song Bren, which ended up being on the first Vampire Weekend album. And, and again, like freshman year of college was the time I probably didn't pick up a guitar that much because busy doing other stuff, And then I meet this dude who's super enthusiastic about music too. And he's like, why don't we record that in my room? I was like, we could record this in your room? And because he had a mic and, at least some bass, like an M-Box basic Pro Tools setup.
Yeah.
And then so the first time we did anything together, our that relationship was just as two musicians, a songwriter and a producer, two creatives together. It wasn't like so we started a band 3 years later or something. So I always think about it like we didn't literally grow up together. We met each other when we were 18, but
formative years though.
Yeah, we kind of like grew up together as creative people and rubbed off on each other, and we've had like conversations. We kind of realized we were each other's like first fans, in a way, like him supporting me and what I do, me supporting him and what he does. So
you have more members of the band now than ever before. You enjoying that experience? I'm hearing reports.
I think Cardi and Bernie are members of the band.
Cardi and Bernie, they are. The band is extended. You offered me a position in the band before, but like I said, I appreciate that. But I sort of feel like I do think your name has to be attached to some form of creative within the band dynamic. Otherwise, you really are just grasping for straws. Who's going to play with you at the bowl? You worked it up.
Oh, I'm so psyched about the bill at the bowl. This is an all-time bill because for Hollywood Bowl and Madison Square Garden as my kind of two hometowns.
Yeah,
I really want to have a special bill. So at Madison Square Garden, it's us, Angelique Kidjo, who's a legendary singer and always been super supportive of Vampire Weekend. We've collaborated on all sorts of stuff, and then Despot. So it's like all friends and family.
Amazing.
We got rap. We got Angelique from Benin. African music, Vampire Weekend, and then in here. We got Richard Pictures, which is my Beats One co-host, Jake Longstreth's Grateful Dead cover band, opening at the bowl, getting a nice, tasty vibe, just setting things up right. And then we got Tanarwin,
wow,
who are just incredible. I don't have a personal relationship with them, but we had that middle slot open, and we trying to see who we could get. And we're like, we just want this to feel like a special bill.
That's inspired.
And somebody was like, I think Tanarwin, like somebody had talked to Tanarwin's crew, and I was like, oh, that's sick. And also love it's like 3 different types of guitar music.
Would you do a Time Crisis on the stage at the bowl during the day? Just record a Time Crisis. I just think something like it would be sick to do a Time Crisis in the bowl at like 1 p.m. before sound check kicks
I've always
in.
been, yeah, that could be cool. And I think also sometimes they let people like kind of hike in the bowl during the day.
Really?
Let a few hikers in just to set a vibe while we record a TC over there. That'd be tight.
I had all this TC related material, but who cares? I love that show. It's on, by the way, it's like, you know, this is obsessive in my house, right? And my son goes to
the
sleep.
whole family?
And my son goes to sleep to it every single night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know
that's
how I feel
amazing.
about that. I mean, like, it's like, you know, I go in to check that he's asleep and you're just like filling his brain with all this pro-Grateful Dead rhetoric and telling people that Steve Miller's a bad man. And I don't know how I feel about all that. You know what I mean?
Daddy, what did Steve Miller say about Jerry Garcia?
It's like that. In the morning, it's like that. It's like that. It's like you're in my house. It's crazy. I get in my car, my son's like, can you play Harmony Hall? I'm like, I can play Harmony Hall, but have we had enough Ezra for one day? You can never have enough Ezra.
Between Vampire Weekend and TC, we got hundreds of hours of content.
Ezra Koenig,
and I just want to say,
you.
Steve Miller, just apologize. Just apologize. All is forgiven. Apologize to Jerry's children.